Well, today, teachers and parents and students in the district, all of them breathing a sigh of relief after a deal was reached to avoid a teacher strike. That would have been the first for the state. But joining us now in our studio is Superintendent Dr. Jesus Jara. You're going to give us a little bit more details on that agreement. Now, I know when we started out this week on Monday, we had just heard from the governor last week on Friday, really, who had stepped in and asked you guys to get back to the table and really work on coming to an agreement. But it still kind of seemed very fragile. So what was kind of the turning point in those negotiations that got us where we were yesterday?
Well, no, and thank you. You know, it started really looking at the priorities and looking at our children and the anxiety. And I started communicating with the entire community as to say, hey, listen, we filed our injunction on Monday to try to settle down, because it is illegal to strike in the state of Nevada. So as a superintendent, I felt the anxiety and then the classroom disruptions and different things in school because of students and parents and community. So it was just really, when you start looking at the business of students here with 320,000 as superintendent, I felt it was important to start looking, and when I filed the injunction, start looking to see what we needed to do and getting our numbers and forecasting as we have been forecasting all year long, and sharing with our community as our CFO has done, is just really looking at the projections. So it just really started, the priority is, look, get to the bargaining table. And we were meeting our board, my board, which is really proud of the board, and really, Wednesday night we were till late trying to figure it out and sharing where we were and the options. And it was, as superintendent, the priority to settle the community and just get back into student achievement, which is our priority. And it was important for us to just say, hey, what are we going to do around this table on behalf of our students? And
I also know on Monday, I think that is when the teachers union agreed to go into mediation. Did you think that going into that process also helped facilitate us getting to where we were, which is averting the strike?
Well, yeah, and then we received the notification actually Monday late in the afternoon. It was that, that we were going into mediation. I think it was just, my priority was, look, let's get at the table, let's go through the bargaining process, which is legally binding, and the priority for us was always, let's do this, let's discuss this at the table. And I think it was just prioritizing our students.
And I know that the big sticking point when we talked to a lot of people was the column pay for the teachers that they say was promised in their contract for the professional development work that they got that entitled them to a pay raise. But I know at one point the district was saying we just don't have this money. So now that is part of the agreement that was reached yesterday, where's that money coming from? How did you guys reconfigure your budget to address that?
Well, let me go back, and if I can, we had an agreement with the teachers that we signed, the union signed and ratified last year, that we felt that we had legal ground footing to say we don't have to, right? We don't have to pay this money. So legally we were able to say to the community, say, hey, look, this is something that we agreed upon, unless in the new legislative session some of the funding came in and allocated for that. And for us, that was where we were. Now, it's not, I want to be clear, because it's like we went and found this extra money somewhere else laying around. No, we were forecasting, we were looking at our dollars, and then we just said, look, we need to focus on student achievement. We need to start looking at our outcomes for our kids and our projections and our forecasting. And we said, here's where we need to go, and here's what we need to do, and get out of this legal battle, get out of this anxiety of a strike, and let's get into the business of educating our kids. And as superintendent with my board, we prioritize our funding, and we prioritize our forecasting and the money that we have available to make sure that we just get into the business of students.
And funding public education is going to always continue to be an issue in many states, and definitely here in Nevada. And I think one of the things that everyone was saying at the news conference yesterday is that going forward, that needs to be what we're looking at.
Well, and absolutely, and see, to me, everybody's frustrated. Look, I'm frustrated too that the numbers are here. It's so convoluted, this old funding formula that we had. So I really applaud the governor and the legislature for taking the bold step and updating a new funding formula that's going to be transparent. Everybody's going to know where the money, when it comes in and where it goes. And I think that is something that we need to all get around and celebrate as a community and as a state. So now we're going to know where the money, so there's no more questions how we're allocating. And I think that is going to be, that is the big win. And now we'll be able to start funding, in 2021, and funding education properly, that money follows the child. And I think that is one of the biggest wins for us this past legislative session. So, previous years you can tell, and I think that is one of the big key takeaways that people are forgetting.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jara, for being in with us today and really kind of breaking down what happened. I know there's a lot of people in our community relieved because that could have been devastating for this community to have to go through a teacher strike. We appreciate your taking your time to come in today.